After a much-needed weekend of work at home, including about 20 hours to edit the Week 1 build video, Chelsea and I are headed back to the Torrance Airport to begin Week 2 of our assisted build of the Sling TSi here at the airplane factory. In the previous video, we told the story of our trip out to California, including the FaceTime call we got from Jean on delivery day. We packed up the car, dog included, and made the 2,000-mile road trip to California, stopping to interview 2 aircraft builders about their stories along the way. In Week 1, we tackled the flaps, ailerons, and wingtips on our quick build kit, all with the help of Bill, the expert sling builder. It's Monday morning, Week 2. Our goals this week are to design and build all of the custom camera mounts for the wings, and hopefully make some progress on the empennage of our Sling TSi. Here's the TSi we took to Canada. There's a bunch of Sling 2s here, and they use Technams for their multi-engine training, so they've got several of them out here. They're doing maintenance there. There's the hangar we're going to be working in again. Starting on the empennage kit today, I think. Where we'll eventually be.
Look, what's in that box?
That is our engine. It says flowers on it. Rotax 916. This is where Carlos, the painter, does all of his magic right here, masking and all that kind of stuff. All right, good morning, good morning. We're starting Week 2 today here at the Build Assist Center at the airplane factory right across the taxiway from Sling Pilot Academy. Don't forget, if you're interested in pursuing a career as a pilot, look no further than Sling Pilot Academy just right here across the taxiway. When you fill out the enrollment form or the scholarship application, use referral code Aviation101 and that gets you $1,000 off your entire full-time pilot training course. Build-A-Builder right here is pulling the empennage kit out of the crate and kind of walking Chelsea through all of the parts here that we're gonna start working on today. So that's the plan for today. We're gonna start prepping and assembling all the little rib sub-assemblies, hinges, actuators, and of course pulling a ton of rivets on the empennage kit. And actually right here behind the camera, these are 2 empennage kits right here. So you have the, it looks like the elevator, the horizontal stabilizer, the rudder, and the vertical stabilizer right here. And then there's a whole nother kit for a different airplane up there. So this is exactly what ours is gonna look like. It's probably gonna go on those racks over there. So that's the plan for this week. Additionally, this week, we have the additional hardware for the camera stuff coming in, which this is the co-pilot, the right-hand side wing. So we're gonna do some mounting stuff probably right here so that we can utilize this inspection panel to get to the back of this stuff. That's gonna be the camera mount hardware as well as the power supplies and the electrical stuff in that regard. So the rest of that stuff is actually supposed to come in today. So at that point, we'll have all of that equipment and we'll be able to actually button up these wings and get all the camera stuff installed. So that being said, starting to pull the initial pieces out and put them on the table for the empennage, and that's what we're gonna start working on today. And hopefully by the end of the week, we're going to have parts that look just like that on this rack with our names on it. So that's gonna be perfect. That's what we're working on today, starting on the empennage. So did you say horizontal stabilizers where you wanna start?
Yeah, it's kind of cut and dry. There's no real right and left, and you'll see when we get the elevator, that's where I marked everything out, but elevator is kind of time consuming because you have to do this before you do that and do that before you do this, and everything's right and left in the size. Even though they're gonna start, all the ribs for that things, they're gonna look real similar. There's size differences and angles. It's a wild little setup, but.
Cool.
Okay, so
whenever we were working on the flaps, we had to go through and countersink the holes, but it looks like it's already done for us on these.
The whole empennage kit, everything needs to be dimpled from ribs to skin panels. All of it's been done at the factory. But it's always a good idea to check because, you know, it can get sketchy.
You probably have your own way of laying all this out.
I just number them. I'll number them. These I'm not too worried about because we have to put together your spars first. And like I said, these are interchangeable. There's no right and left cancel, and number 4 rib is just number 4 rib on either side, just mirror image, you know. We're gonna build these spars first.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take off a bunch of junk off this table. So what I do.
Happy Monday.
I'm gonna build this spar first. So what we're gonna need is, these 2, this, this and this. And we do not need this right now. Now, actually, we could probably Cleco both front and rear spars together. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And you said to countersink, so is this?
Yeah, see on the
dimple?
on the thicker stuff, we can actually hit it with the countersink cutter, and this is fairly thick, and it'll just match up with the dimples we have here.
Got it.
These kind of sit like this. You'll see what I'm talking about if you look at the drawing. That's how they all come together.
Oh yeah, okay.
Those go in the back of it and sandwich in. That's what it looks like when it's completed.
Cool.
So what would happen if you did put this in the dimpler? It just would be too
I think
thick
you'd have a
and
hell of a time dimpling it.
Yeah, so you just actually remove
I hit it with the
material.
countersink cutter, yeah. This has a 30 pilot on the countersink to match the number 30 hole or 1/8 inch hole or 3.2 if you're following the metric formula. So, yeah, so you want something like that because then your dimple, sorry Josh, let me get it. Because you want it to fit inside your dimple like so. I think I'm matching it up. Yeah, and that's even a little shallow still for that dimple, you know what I mean? See how wide that is? Okay, that turned out pretty good. You can hit it a little bit more. It's okay. Because remember, like I said, these dimples are fat.
And it looks like I was putting more pressure on one side than the other.
Yeah, so when I hold onto the cage, I saw you doing that. Try holding it like that, and you can really feel if it's level on the material. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just desperately don't want to go too far.
Yeah, what your main concern is just falling off the edge with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's getting there. It almost looks the same as the others.
I'll buy it. Looks good to me, yeah. As long as you got that halo around the rivet, we're good. Okay.
And then doing the same thing on the inside.
Yeah, you want to go for it?
Sure. Looks good.
All right. So we don't do anything there, and we don't mess with these when we go to shoot the spark, because that will be location of 2 ribs.
So SO means stay out.
SO is stay out.
Leave those holes open.
Yes. Okay, so see here.
Do not rivet these 4 holes.
Yeah.
They will be used during the
So we're just going to be doing from there all the way to there on both sides, and we can do these 2. They get shot up. It's like every other hole like we've been doing, and those are the black number 20 Clecos. Actually here, and just skip over those and hit those. So here to here, and that'll be that.
And what about these?
Yes, you can also hit those. Actually, I mean, you could probably just leave these 3 open if you want.
And you said every other?
Every other, just like we've been doing. Remember how when we shot the flaps and everything else? We have a long run, so might as well have every other hole open so we can put a fastener in it. 4.0 by 10 aluminum dome rivet, multi-grip with the button heads, 5/32. And so from here, these are all going to be 5/32, the black Clecos, so like we've been doing.
End or what?
Yeah, and then these are just little 3.2s, 1/8 inch ones, the copper Clecos. Okay. So like every other hole, just like we've been doing when we get ready to shoot something up.
So we've got 5 and 5.
Yeah, so go ahead and do that, and I'll grab some wood. We'll get these off the table so we can shoot them. And we're just going to be blasting rivets till we get these built up.
So just from an efficiency standpoint alone, having someone who has built a few TSIs like Bill, knowing the next step before it happens, knowing what tools to go ahead and grab, and also going and giving us so much oversight and being a tool gopher at the same time, kind of turning us loose. I think we would stand here and analyze this for 3 times as long to make sure we're just dialing everything in.
We'd be triple checking and second guessing.
Triple checking, second guessing, and I think that not only keeping it moving faster, but also knowing like the little tricks of the trade and the hang up areas and the common mistakes and stuff like that.
Okay, so we're ready to clean out holes like we've been doing.
Okay.
Deburr, start feeding fasteners. Let me get my high-tech tooling wood out here. Thank you, sir. And just to keep the flex down, I think I'll move that wood closer into where you guys are working.
These are the two spars for the horizontal stabilizers. I am holding the trailing edge, and Chelsea has the leading edge spar for the horizontal stabilizer. So this is the whole assembly eventually with skin and everything that the elevator.
Chelsea, you good with those?
I'm good with these.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
We'll let Chelsea have the good flying eyes. These are good too.
And just like we've been doing, clean them out, deburr them, feed fasteners, and fire away. By 10.
I just got an earthquake alert.
What?
From where? Where's it starting from?
Earthquake detected. Drop, cover, hold on, protect yourself. What the hell?
Well, if there was something, you'll see it on the news tonight if you're watching local news.
All right, I'm ready on these.
All right, here you go, sir.
Cool.
It's all set.
And start in the middle and move out?
Yeah.
Okay. And okay to start with the hinges here?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
What did you do about my hair?
Oh yeah, it gives you a little burst off to the right of that.
Do you drink coffee?
I drink about a gallon when I get here in the morning. I try to keep it at 1 cup a day or I'll start feeling my hair grow after that. Installing stereo speakers on your wing assembly.
Yeah.
I need something to do, man. I need something to do.
Okay, so we're working on the spars. Basically the main structure of the horizontal stabilizer is what we're putting together now. And of course we have our manual right here that sort of shows this is for the rear assembly that I'm working on now. Flip the page and it's for the front assembly that Chelsea was working on. But we have a digital copy of that too that we can use in the video here. But pretty much buttoning up the last bit of rivets. I'm doing the small rivets now, which are the 3.2 millimeter little dome head rivets that are right on the edge of sort of this little spar carry through. And just gonna drill them out, clean them with the deburr tool and the drill, and then pull the rest of them. And then we're done with this set of rivets, and Bill the builder is gonna walk us through the next steps. It did overheat a few times, but the GoPro 360 it also won't charge while it's recording, which is annoying.
Okay, rib 5 and rib 5. And they also follow your flange angles. So these would be on here like so. And these are all little number 30, 1/8 inch Clecos for these little nose ribs, the bronze, the copper colored ones. Yeah. So we can go ahead and shoot that up. Most of this is your 4.0 by 10 dome, except for these is your 3.2 by 8.
Do we need to chase?
You probably should. Let me get some angle drills for that. Now, when you go to shoot these, some customers don't mind doing this and shooting the rivet. I mean, you can get it from back here without bending it. I mean, you can bend them back into place. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. So we've built all these sub-assemblies, and then we put them together, and now you can actually see the full structure of the horizontal stabilizer coming together, and it's just like invigorating to have all of the little steps equal this component. And of course it's incomplete, but to just have everything down without a skin, and then till the end of time, I think I will be able to look at this horizontal stabilizer and envision all of the components and how they're placed and how they're laying together underneath the skin. I will see the blueprints and the diagrams on top of the skin from now on.
All right, so if you guys want to start reaming holes, we'll feed rivets and shoot it up.
So we are shooting everything that is on the trailing edge portion, and I am removing the clecos, but on the sections that only have 3 clecos, where we've already pulled 1 rivet, we only want to remove 1 cleco so that it doesn't start to pivot in either direction, and then you're dealing with a problem making sure that everything is lined up. But it's really interesting, and I feel like as this build continues, our workspaces are gonna get more and more condensed and tighter. So whenever we did the flaps, like everything was just super fast. Now that we're working on the horizontal stabilizer and we're starting to get into all of these areas, we're having to like get different types of drills. Everything is starting to pack together. So it's interesting, the finesse that you have to then start to implement as you go through this. And then you're also, just like flying, you're wanting to think several steps ahead, because if you do something right here, it might affect your move 6 steps from now. So you're thinking about that stuff, but Josh and I aren't having to think about that stuff too hard since we're here with Bill doing the builder assist. It's just very interesting to see how everything is coming together and that our workspace is becoming more compact as we go along.
All right, Chelsea is chasing the remainder of the holes that are on the aft. This is the trailing edge of the horizontal stabilizer, and it's really coming together and starting to look like a legit flying structure. All the ribs, and then these are of course where the leading edge is gonna go. We had to bend these out of the way just a little bit to pull the rivets because the big rivet puller was a little bit bulky to get in there, but now she just drilled the holes out on the remainder of the holes where the bigger rivets are gonna go, the 4 millimeters. Now she is going after it with a countersink bit, which is being used as a deburr tool. So that's what we're working on right now. Horizontal stabilizer, and then not before too long, skins, right? Skins.
Yes, sir. We're going to do a little bit of work while we have access without the skins on. We're going to run your wires, some grommets for the wires, some plastic edge protection for the wire where it exits here, and probably put a P-clamp on to hold it all in place, and then we'll slam the skins on. Try putting some skin on this puppy.
So is that the next step? So you ran the wire.
Yeah, but we want to do everything where we have access to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the wires ran. That's all. Pretty simple. Omar, when it gets over to final, he goes in and plugs it up and hooks everything up. Okay, so if you can lift up on the framing, I'm gonna just go slide this in. I think. Whoop. Slide it in like so. Hopefully it's like so.
Horizontal stabilizer skins.
Yeah. What we need to do is pick it and put a cleco on the very leading edge to get this bad boy lined up, if we can find it.
It grabbed it.
Can you reach in and push that rib this way? Okay. No, it needs to go. Ooh, watch your fingers, I won't stab you. Yeah. Remember that tab I was telling us we got to reach?
Yes.
If you could just point, tell me where the end of that thing is.
This hole right here.
Okay. I'm going to stick a cleco through there, so watch your fingers.
Yeah.
Did I get it? Okay. Usually hear that pop.
Yeah. You got all layers.
Okay, cool. Oh, this one actually pretty much lines up. Yeah. So if you can find me that tab again, it should be another one over here somewhere.
That's right.
Okay. That looks like it's wide open.
Got it.
Did I get it? Okay, so you guys want to give it a whirl?
Yeah.
Pick it, and just get every forward one, and then we'll start.
We have another set of cleco pliers.
Oh yeah, what did I do?
There was one. There's one.
Okay, we still have to be aware of that tab that's on this top side too. The same thing. Okay, so that's the critical part. Is these?
Cool. So now do we just start?
Yeah, let's start. I usually will go up to about here, start in the center here and work out, and continue going out until we get to the back.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it grabbing them, or am I bending anything?
No, it looks great.
Putting the skin on this component has really, I mean, I knew that it was important to like cleco things in a specific sequence and rivet it in a specific sequence. This really highlighted it.
Yeah.
It's like those ribs are kind of going all over the place.
You know what I mean? If you were just to put like, 3 on every rib, you'd have stuff all over the place probably. And you would never know, you know, because once it's closed up, it's closed up.
Can't see in there.
As long as that cleco goes in the hole, you assume it's good. Okay, so now we need the gold. This one out.
Oh, and you want me to pull some out over here?
And then turn it over. Perfect. And start it all over again.
All right, we're calling it a wrap on the first day of week 2 working on our Sling TSi quick build kit at the airplane factory right here across from Sling Pilot Academy. Today wasn't too diverse. There really wasn't all that many tasks that we had to do. It was kind of like one big task that involved a lot of repetition. Of course, we riveted together both spars, the forward and aft, and then we riveted all the rib assemblies to those spars, and then after that the skins went on. We got one entire side of the skins riveted together, and then we flipped it over, the rest is clecos. We're gonna go ahead and call it quits today. Millie's been at home by herself for quite a while, so we're gonna go back to the house, let her out. But finishing one half of the horizontal stabilizer for this airplane was win number 1 today. Win number 2 was the fact that we went up to Gardena, California, about 20 minutes away, to a FedEx ship center where they were actually holding a package for me. And that was the USB-C power supplies that are eventually gonna go in the wings of the airplane and the fuselage all over the place, so we can continue to capture content right here on Aviation 101.
We are so jazzed about this project and this content, and we're having so much fun filming it and putting it out there and engaging with people who are currently building or looking at building a Sling or a Sling TSi or a high wing or whatever you're building. We love engaging on that stuff. This is a part of aviation that we have desired to really lean into for a long time, and having the opportunity to build the Sling TSi, I think, is just fulfilling so many aviation dreams for both Josh and I. So it's not only special to be able to do this, but even more so together. We're having so much fun, and today was just another win, another success on the build. We have not hit a big mess up yet, and I don't want to jinx ourselves because everything's going so well, but today was perfect, a perfect day in my book.
Chelsea and I actually have a lot of work we need to do from home tomorrow. Just more admin stuff. It's part of running a business, so we're going to work from the house tomorrow, and I think Bill is going to do the exact same thing we did today. He's just going to flip over the horizontal stabilizer and take care of all of those rivets. And then when we come back on Wednesday, we should have all of the parts that we need. They'll have finally all come in order to complete all of the camera mounts and electrical stuff on the wings. So our plan is to button some of that stuff up on Wednesday, as well as continue on the empennage kit, depending on how long that wing stuff will take. First things first is we're gonna get those wing kits finished up with those mount and power supplies, and then we're gonna move on to working on the rest of the empennage kit. That's gonna be the elevators, the rudder, and the vertical stabilizer. And at that point, the horizontal stabilizer will already be done. So it's a real simple day here at the airplane factory. We're calling it quits. It's a beautiful day. It's like 65 degrees and sunny here in Southern California. We're gonna head home, let the dog out, probably take her for a walk, dump this footage onto the computer, and we're gonna take care of a bunch of paperwork tomorrow before we return right here to the hangar on Wednesday.
Hi. Hi, Bobby. I missed you.
All right, I was waiting on this since middle of last week, so this package finally came in. This is all of the equipment for mounting cameras on the plane. We have some ball mounts, we have some dovetail mounts, super important. Got the power units today, we have the bulkhead mounts from a few days ago, and finally here's all the mounting hardware. So we get to do all of this on the wings when we return on Wednesday, so I'm super excited about building all of this on the plane. All right, we skipped yesterday to do some paperwork and stuff like that at the house. Yesterday was tax day, so we had to file our federal income theft and all that kind of stuff. Here are the camera mounts. This is day 2 of week 2, and we're beginning, Builder Bill over here is marking the holes on the wings to mount some of this hardware, and this is actually going to be the apparatus that's gonna go out on the wing. I ordered this, so all the parts here for all of the mounting hardware, later on, we'll go into more detail about what all we're putting on the plane. We're gonna have a lot of different options for camera mounts to put cameras in different places depending on the mission, and we're gonna have power set up for all the cameras too. I think everything in terms of mounting, not power, cost about 250 bucks, I wanna say. I could pull up the receipt and show it here, but it was less than $300 for all this stuff. And this is an aluminum pole that is actually, it has a kink right here, a bend in it. So they're actually overnighting me a new one because this is not right. It is not supposed to have this curve at the end of it. But these 2 dovetail mounts, they're real small. Let me grab one of them here. This guy is what is going to go out on the wing. So 2 of these are gonna live on each wing. They're gonna be roughly about that far apart so that the pole can mount to the wing and stick out a little bit past the leading edge with the 360 camera on the end of it here. And then there's gonna be a USB power port right here that we can run a short cable up to the camera and keep it powered with airplane power. So that's what we're working on today. And then probably during lunch here in a couple hours, I'm gonna run to Lowe's or Home Depot or Grainger or something like that, and I'm gonna grab some stainless steel hardware. These dovetail mounts that I bought, these are originally from a company called FlightFlix. I paid with my own money for all of this stuff because I wanted to make sure I was getting exactly what I want, and it's also not that expensive either. It's all very much use at your own risk. Of course, this is an experimental airplane, so we can, in lockstep with Bill's expertise, we can make sure that we are building this stuff to a high structural standard and making sure that everything's going to be very safely mounted with backups. And we also have the USB power supplies here. I ordered these from a company. Now this order was about 300 bucks because I ordered a bunch of these power units. They're like 35 bucks a piece, but they're capable of putting out 45 watts per USB-C port. Out on the wings, we're only going to use one because we don't need to run cooling fans on the outside cameras for obvious reasons. And then I have these weatherproof bulkhead USB-C connectors. Got these on Amazon, so that's going to plug in right there. It takes in 12 volts or 28. These are capable of both. And then this is a weatherproof, you can take the cap off here. This is a weatherproof USB-C bulkhead connector. You can kind of see that's USB-C there, and then there's 2 ports right there. We're only using up one. So this will be mounted inside the wing with a bracket, and then this will kind of do boop, go like that and go through the skin of the airplane. Or I can illustrate it like this. So that will go through the skin of the airplane, and that will be a USB-C port outside. What do you think?
I think we're almost ready.
Almost ready to cut some metal. And then I guess just for consideration, that little USB port, I don't think there's anything in the way. I think probably right next to it, right here.
Okay.
Would be great. There's also nothing up here. So for mounting that little power supply, I think just riveting it in there. All right, no turning back now.
Yeah.
Final decision is
yeah, the holes are here. Okay. Okay, start small, kids.
You're gonna fly in this plane when it's all done, right?
Yeah, I'll go out with you guys, sure.
Yeah.
Be summertime probably still.
Yeah.
Take a ride out to Catalina. Okay, that's a little under a quarter.
All right, leaving the airport now. It's almost 11 o'clock in the morning, so not quite lunchtime, but we're at the point where we really want to have the correct hardware to go ahead and mount all of that stuff for the camera mounts on the wings. Before we drill the holes on the other wing, we want to go ahead and trial fit everything. So going through the gate now, and Lowe's is actually right across the runway right there. So it's a short drive over there, pretty easy to get to, but I'm gonna go grab some stainless steel hardware. I have hardware. All right, got back from Lowe's, which is literally right across the runway, super quick trip, but got all the hardware laying on the table right there, and Bill is prepping to mount these little dovetail mounts onto the wings. So what he's gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put those doublers on the back after we trial fit everything and make sure everything is squared away. Straight side. I worry about it kind of wearing on the skin right there, you know? She's marking some stuff on the skin of the airplane here because this mount has a little more movement than we thought it would. It has some wiggle to it, and not a huge fan of that. We think it'll be fine over time if we ultimately let it go, but we think is kind of a substandard conclusion, in my opinion, and in her opinion, and in Bill's opinion. So we're kind of brainstorming on how we want to fix that up, do something different here. Maybe utilize some rivets that are already going into a rib. Not sure. So she's kind of drawing something here.
Okay, so I would want to get into AC 4313 and just make sure that we're gonna be able to get enough edge distance based off of the rivet diameter, the stem of it, and make sure that we have enough edge distance here. What you cannot see on the outside is actually the rib that runs along through here. But when we stick our arm in here, you can feel the channel of that rib. And maybe this line that I have drawn is even a little bit further out than where that U channel, the rib is kind of a U channel. So right here it's flat and it bends and it goes that way towards the top of the wing. But what I am envisioning is, after some calculations, doing some edge distance figuring here, see if we can create a sandwich that would live. First, I think we should fabricate 4 for each wing just to see how it goes. Potentially only put 1 on the inside. I hate putting more holes than what is already here, but I hate even more ignoring any sort of fatigue issue that might start to contribute to either smoking rivets or weakening, oil canning, or putting smiley faces in this bottom skin over time. You can see the camera mount here, it extends out. So, I mean, we could do calculations on, you know, what the pressure actually is and the load factor, but this will always have some sort of load on it, not only gravity and pulling G's and stuff like that, but also the wind pressure and turbulence. With the camera that's gonna stick out an additional, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches even beyond this, and then the weight of that camera. So you can see right here, if you look on this side, how much that's already buffeting, and I am barely putting any pressure right here. You can see that this is bouncing and flexing, and this is bouncing and flexing. I just don't want that to become kind of a nightmare over time. And I want to deal with all of this now before we have beautiful paint on the plane and we're thinking about it later and kicking ourselves. So.
All right, haven't had the camera up all that much during this process because it's been a lot of brainstorming, but Bill found some much thicker aluminum. They have aluminum all over this place, scrap from different projects and stuff that doesn't get used. So we're thinking about cutting a thick doubler out of this material, but the problem is inside the wing here, we don't want to rivet a doubler that's gonna go over the rib flanges, and I would really like to utilize these holes and the rib flange to really increase the rigidity of this mount and this doubler. The problem is then that doubler will have to sit over a step. It'll basically cover 2 different thicknesses of metal, and it's gonna put a slight torque and a slight amount of pressure on the skin here, and over time and vibration and everything, you might even start to see a little an indentation poking through on the skin, and we don't want that. What he's gonna try now is he's gonna cut a little piece of aluminum skin. It's the same thickness as this stuff and the rib flange. He's gonna cut it so that it can kind of fit right in here in place of this smaller rectangle, and it will butt up to these rib flanges. And then it could get riveted, and then the thicker material would go over all of that on the back and get riveted in place by everything else. So it would all squeeze in on the same level and not put any weird pressures on it, and it would be tied into the rib structure and make it much more rigid, and then we would basically just do the same thing down here with this rectangle. So I don't know, we're kind of thinking about what to do here. He went to go get some more scrap material and sort of see what we can do, but we want to get rid of that wobble as much as we can, or at least to the point where the skin is not the only thing holding onto that camera mount. I'll tell you what is a good compromise in my brain. If we are just gonna do the whole like butting up to the flanges on both, if we use that jig thickness,
okay,
and just did that, I think I'd feel good about that.
Okay.
And then just, you know, pop some dome head rivets into both of them, secure them in place.
Okay, without doing a double piece of material?
Right.
Okay, just that jig fixture?
Just the jig thickness.
All right, let's do that.
I feel like that would be okay. I think that would be okay. I would feel better about that.
Yeah, because
then
that's really all we need, man. You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've had some customers who have like their spouses or have a bum leg or have some kind of handicap, and they want handles so they can pull themselves up on the aircraft.
Yeah.
And that's all we do is just make a doubler and put a doubler behind the skin, just put a handle, and they haven't ripped it out. And you're talking hundreds of pounds of force on the thing.
I know I'm over engineering it in my head.
Oh, hey man, it's your aircraft.
Yeah, I think if we just did that and did the same thing down here with that jig thickness, whatever. Do you know what thickness that is? Is that like?
Let's find out.
Okay.
It's just 80, 85.
I mean, I think that would be super stout if we just do that. And I think that's less work and it's less intrusive doing it that way too.
Maybe 75. Sorry. Yeah.
Either way, it's thick as hell.
Yeah. That should work okay. Okay, so.
I don't want to create a glare for you, but
Oh, that's cool, thanks. Go about 3 inches over. We'll probably end up with more meat on it on the inside. It's kind of hard to judge it.
yeah.
Boink. All right.
All right, we have made some decisions. We are actually going to avoid the rib structure on the inside, but we're gonna go with the way thicker material. So we'll have some dome head rivets holding this piece of metal in here. Right here is gonna be the USB port for power, which is on the leading edge. And then this will be the rear one, a little bit smaller doubler, but also the thick material. And we'll just put a series of rivets in there to kind of distribute the load and really reduce the flexing. So Bill is actually next door and he's about to cut this thick, I think he said 75 thousandths of an inch is how thick this aluminum is, and he's about to cut it on the bandsaw. Well, it looks like progress has been incredibly slow today, but most of the progress has been up here in our brains, trying to figure out the doublers for this camera mount. And once we figure out one wing, we're gonna be able to apply that to the other wing. We just did not like how much flex was going on here, and Bill's been working his butt off, running like the loud bandsaw, running the cutting wheel on the pneumatic drill, just kind of some tedious work trying to figure out how we're gonna make this work. But 75 thousandths of an inch thick on this aluminum here, and he just cut one plate and he's working on deburring the other plate right now that's gonna go up top. So this is basically going to slide right back here, and it's gonna be bolted there, and we're gonna put a series of rivets in here to hold that guy on, and then the power USB port's gonna go right there, and then we're gonna do the same thing with a smaller plate up here, and that's gonna be that. Basically, that's just gonna help protect the skin from being able to flex too much right there with this thick piece of aluminum. I mean, I can hardly even bend that. It's thick. Obviously, it's not that heavy, it's aluminum. We're gonna put either some Corrosion X, he also said he had some Aladyne here, so we're going to make sure that no corrosion can build up between these parts, and we're gonna make sure they're cleaned up. This one's deburred, he's deburring the other one, and we're gonna put it on, probably mark some holes, drill through the skin first, and then put this behind there, maybe get another hole in place, and then drill it, cleco it, drill another one, cleco. Making progress, and we're figuring this out, but that's why as soon as we got here and I saw how closed up these wings were, I was like, man, I gotta figure out that camera placement and the camera mounts so that we can get moving on that, because I knew that this was gonna be a little bit of an engineering exercise.
These are nice little pins to have, man. That needle point, you get down in like deep holes.
And are those, is that a wet erase marker?
No, it's I'm not sure. One of the customers came and brought this to me. He didn't want to use it, so I think he got it off Amazon. But
okay. So are you butting it up against the rib flange?
yeah, it's sitting there and down here,
okay,
right in the corner. That's really the only thing we have to focus off is this.
Yeah.
We have to lay out our own holes. So we use the minimum ED on. Well, yeah, no, actually, we really don't have to. We could go 2 times the diameter plus 1/16 if you want more meat, or just 2 times the diameter, which would be like about a 1/4 inch all the way around.
I think we have plenty of real estate, so
okay.
Yeah, if we want a little more meat.
Yeah.
Although maybe the fasteners being as far away from the mounting point as possible would be good.
Yeah, plus you want to put your USB in here somewhere too, right?
Yeah, let's just do the minimum edge distance.
Okay. Do not think, oh, we're not riding on anything.
Not a ton of visible progress today, but there was a lot of mental progress. We kind of engineered our way through the problems that we were having with this the pole apparatus that goes on the wing, where to put power supplies, all that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure we got it sorted out. When we first mounted it, we were really not a fan of how much it was able to wobble. So we worked a little over an hour longer than we normally do, which means Millie was here by herself for about 8 hours. So as soon as Chelsea got back from running her errands, we basically packed up and left the airport. So there was no time to do dialogue there, so I'm doing the dialogue here at our little rental condo right before I'm about to dump all the footage from the card on this camera as well as our iPhones all onto the MacBook here. But what we ended up doing is we used a thick piece of aluminum that was used for, it's actually a tool jig that comes with the kit. And they have so many of these things laying around, it was a perfect sort of blank slate to cut some of these aluminum plates out of to act as doublers. They're gonna be fastened in place with 3.2 millimeter dome head rivets. And then of course the 1/4-inch bolt that holds the actual camera mount to the wing is gonna go through there and sandwich it to the wing's skin. And then the forward plate is going to have a USB, basically a weatherproof USB-C bulkhead connector. That was a big hurdle to get through. Now we know how we want to set up the other side. We're gonna put an external mount on the tail too, in case I ever wanna put it like a 360 camera underneath the tail. That's gonna be a pretty straightforward thing. That's just gonna be a straight up doubler, no pole or anything like that. So all that being said, I did some brainstorming on how to mount some cameras inside the plane too. That sort of sparked a little bit of a conversation and a debate off camera today. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What are your favorite camera angles that you've seen, whether it be on my channel or other people's channels? Videos that maybe you've made yourself in different types of airplanes. What's your favorite camera angle to use in these airplanes? Leave that in the comment section down below. We're sorting all that stuff out on this Sling here, and we want to make it as convenient as possible to record videos, set up cameras super fast, have infinite power from the ship itself, and I've developed cooling fans to keep the cameras cool, keep them from overheating and everything. So this is gonna be a really great recording platform, and we made a significant progress on that today. So tomorrow is gonna be day 3 of week 2. Chelsea and I are gonna call it a night, make some dinner. I'm gonna dump all this footage and get some video work done on some other unrelated projects. And we'll see you tomorrow morning on day 3 of week 2. Okay, it is about 9:25 in the morning on day 3. We have these fiberglass wingtips on the wings that Bill and Chelsea are actually working on right now. Bill's hitting it with a little bit of heat with the heat gun just to bend the tip of the wingtip back so that it matches the trailing edge of the aileron. It's purely cosmetic. It doesn't really affect anything on how the airplane flies or controllability or anything like that. The flap and aileron are gonna be set at an exact point so that they line up with the wing root of the airplane so that the chord line is perfectly straight. But what he's doing is he's moving the tip of that wingtip with a little bit of heat, some encouragements from some pliers and everything to get it to line up with the trailing edge of that aileron. That's what he's working on right now. And he got the additional doublers cut for now I believe that's gonna be the pilot side wing that we haven't installed yet. So these doublers are for the camera mounts and a USB port for where the pole that's gonna hold a 360 camera will go. We wanted the option to have the camera on the pilot side or the co-pilot side, so we're gonna have mounts on both. I have all the hardware for it already. So those mounts and power supplies are gonna live there permanently, and we'll mount the pole with the ball mounts and everything whenever we're gonna use that mount. So today it's gonna be some riveting, and then in fact on all of these doublers, we're going to iodine them. So put a corrosion resistant coating on it, which this kind of copper color, kind of gold color on the wings there, that is that coating. So the other thing that he wants to get done today is go ahead and shoot up rivets into the wingtips. So permanently fasten the wingtips onto the airplane. So that's what's on the agenda for today. This is day 3 of week 2. Let's get started.
So one of the things that I had never thought about that I learned here is he was always leaving the heat gun running for quite a while. And he was like, no, I leave it on to cool it down, cool it off. And I was like, oh, shock cooling. And I cannot tell you how many times I've used a heat gun and just gotten done and just shut it right off. So something to think about here too.
Yeah, you can do that, sure.
Click go on, click go off, click go on, click go off.
You know what? We're going to wheel this wing closer and use this as a bench. Okay, so that goes like that, and we're going to pull that like so. And there we go. Now, if you want to get some clecos, There you go, and then we'll do every other hole like we've normally been doing.
So just like we've been doing throughout this whole project, after we put this all back together and we cleco every other hole and everything's been marked with a Sharpie, we chase the holes again with a drill just to make sure that we're gonna get a really, really perfect fit on all of this.
All right, Chelsea's gonna work on this primarily, but we have the wingtip light wires coming out on both sides, which are for conductor, because you have a nav in position, a strobe, a sync for the strobes, and a ground. So that's what these wires are for. Everything's clecoed. I just drilled these out to size. Chelsea just drilled those out to size. She's about to deburr everything and start pulling rivets. And then these wingtips will be on permanently. And then what Bill's working on right now are the doublers for the camera mounts. So he's marking where to make a little dimple for rivets. And then we're gonna drill them out, deburr, all that kind of stuff. And then those will go in the pilot side wing. Co-pilot side wing is already done here. We'll probably trial fit the camera mount right here and right here first. And then that'll be a USB port. Trial fit all of that to make sure it has good rigidity and everything, and then rivet it in place after some anti-corrosion stuff is put on. So we're making progress. Today's all about the wings. Again, little details coming together.
You said we're done with the wings like 3 times.
I know, you're 90% done, 90% to go.
For your USB, did we just kind of center it up and?
Yep, I think we went 1 inch from this rivet line and then just dead center.
It up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and there we have it.
Looks great. All right, got all the holes drilled and cleaned up, and Bill is actually over there cleaning up the plates right now that are gonna act as the doublers for the cameras here. So here in a little bit, we're actually gonna start getting back to the good stuff. We're gonna start assembling the empennage once again and slowly develop our kit. There's actually 2 empennage kits right here, and then over here on this rack, that is actually our horizontal stabilizer. So that one's already done, and we're gonna get back to that here pretty soon once we sort out sort of the structural stuff for the cameras, and we're almost done. So he's deburring and cleaning up the plates over there. He's gonna put some corrosion protectant stuff on it. He's gonna allodyne them, which is basically what all of this is, sort of this gold color on the aluminum. That's a corrosion preventative coating that's on the aluminum there. So he's gonna get all this cleaned up, and then these are gonna get riveted in right here, and then same on the other wing, and then they'll be ready for the actual fasteners to go in there and everything. And we'll probably trial fit, test fit everything to make sure that it feels good, everything lines up, and we're squared away there, and then we can finally call that project done, aside from installing the power units. Waiting on some housings to come in today, and I actually just ordered from a wire supplier online some M275 mil-spec shielded 2-conductor 16-gauge cables. And that's what we're going to run into the wing root here that goes the length of each wing down to those power supplies, and we're gonna have some extra sticking out so that we have plenty to hook up those power supplies with. So we're working with Midwest Panel Builders on that. They're incorporating the camera circuits into the wiring harness of the airplane with a power switch for that circuit and 2 dedicated breakers that are specifically for the camera power supplies. So we're almost done with this project, aside from the electrical stuff, which we're gonna have to wait till next week for that mil-spec wiring to come in. But Bill's cleaning up those plates right now. Then we'll probably go ahead and fasten them in, trial fit everything, and then we can move on to the empennage probably after lunch.
Okay, so that is right. So don't mix it with orange juice.
The idea here is to grind down the burrs. The only good way we have to do that is just some sort of medium grit sandpaper, and that actually works pretty well. It's smooth back there. Maybe a little, actually no, there's not even an edge on that. That's good. Blue powder coming off of it. I'll probably put something back there to wipe it off afterward. Ow. I just put my knee down right on a cleco. I'm gonna move up here now. It's a good thing I'm wearing long sleeve for this because this inspection panel is kind of, you gotta put my arm against it here. So I'm up at this hole right now, just grinding the edge off the back of these holes after drilling them. I think that's good to go. I'm gonna stick something in there to clean it up, maybe a little acetone, wipe all the shaving from the paper off to get all the contaminants out of there, and then we're gonna sandwich the metal together with the new Aladyne doublers. We're gonna probably just start doing some riveting. A little acetone on a rag. Gonna go on the back here and just wipe that whole area thoroughly clean. Do the same thing to this one down here. Bill is cleaning the other one. Everything is deburred. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe these marks off of here so we no longer need those. You want me to go ahead and shoot these up?
Yeah, go right ahead, man. We're ready to do it.
All right. That stiffened it up big time. Big time. Taking a slight step backwards, had to drill out our first set of rivets on this whole project. As soon as I pulled that last rivet right there, I saw it do like a weird pucker, and I could kind of like see the reflection of the light in the metal, and I was like, that is not sitting flat. And you couldn't tell until the rivet went in. And what was happening is this guy was actually resting ever so slightly on the rib flange right there. So it wasn't, it's like it was sitting on a layer there, and then when it riveted, it tried to suck it in. And that's no good. So I'm gonna punch these rivet tails out. He just drilled out the heads, and it doesn't even look like anything happened, so that's good. And then I'm gonna go back over here, try to get it shifted around so that it's not on that rib flange, try to cleco it in again and try this again. Ultimately, costs us like 10 minutes, but hopefully this will be an easy fix. Worst case scenario, I need to go over to the belt sander and take a little bit of material off right here so that it has clearance to sit there flat on the skin, flush with the skin, not on the rivet flange. So that's a little bit of an oops. I should have visually checked it with the mirror, but I figured because it was clecoed in, it was okay, but it was slightly resting on it. No big deal, we'll get it fixed. Yeah, this side looks golden. Figuratively and literally. Bend that mirror a little more. This side looks good.
Super.
All right, so I'm gonna match drill this side and go ahead and rivet it. I got eyes on both sides. I can see skin material between the rib and the doubler.
Well, you got good eyes. I couldn't even tell what was up there using that little tiny.
Yeah.
I should get a bigger inspection mirror, but.
All right, these are riveted in place. we're gonna trial fit this camera pole. So here are the two dovetail mounts that are now, sandwiching these doublers. And there will be a camera on the end of this aluminum pole. This is really lightweight. This is not heavy at all. But when you put a load or some sort of weight out on an arm, you get a stronger moment. That's classic weight and balance jargon. Oh, dude, night and day.
Oh, really?
Night and day.
Oh, hell yeah, we can launch missiles on
That is stout. That is so much better.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
really happy
good.
with that. All the blood, sweat, and tears were worth it. So the leading edge is that way. This right here, this rivet line, this is just open skin. This is hollow back here. I can get my hand back there. That's gonna be USB. And then right here, where the metal almost changes color a little bit, this is where the long range fuel tank is. So we're pretty much as far forward as we can get. And here, bam, USB port right there. So then what we would do is this little weatherproof gasket type thing on there, and this nut. And I want to align that little USB-C port with the longitudinal axis of the airplane to make it more aerodynamic when the cable's plugged in. Oh, dude, that's solid. That is solid. Really stout. So much better. So much better. It's able to move the skin a little bit, but man, that's freaking stout. And then when we're not using the USB, this little cap goes over it. Bam. And then we, of course, take the clamp and the pole off when we're not using it too. And then when we're ready to film, take that little cap off, stow this in my camera case, and then bam, USB cable, and then it goes down the pipe. I was beginning to feel just a little bit demotivated because of the snags we're hitting on this project, and it's been a couple of days of just really messing with it constantly, but man, this is so stout. I mean, I can manhandle the wing with this pole right here.
It is Friday. We are finishing out week 2 today, and we have a long to-do list. This week consisted of sorting out so many little details when it comes to fuel pumps or design or lights or camera mounts. So it was a lot of decision making and not as much just like quick work getting done. The boxes that we have actually checked this week are not as visual as they were last week. And it's so interesting. Josh and I just had a really long conversation on the drive-in this morning about experimental aviation and the innovation that it allows and the new technology that it welcomes people to start implementing into these aircraft. Now, it does keep experimental and experimental. In a sense that you're trying to self-diagnose, speak with colleagues, dig on the internet, find forums, figure out what other people are doing, and then make a decision that you think or a group of you thinks will be the best solution. But in experimental aviation, we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to innovate, we're allowed to research, and we're allowed to implement things and not wait years for an STC.
We have the mounts for the camera power supplies. Like she said, not very much visual progress this week, but a lot of mental progress, like designing blueprints and engineering in our head. The camera mounts alone, like the hard mounts on the wings, took 2 days, 2 full days to design, mock up, and integrate them, actually implement them into the wings. We pretty much finished that up yesterday, and today, like she said, she's gonna do some paperwork. I think we're gonna dive into the empennage today. I know I said that yesterday on camera too. We did not touch the empennage because the camera mounts just took till the end of the day. But everything is riveted in place. It got allodyne, corrosion protection, all that good stuff, and it's the hard mounts are there. I got the new ABS plastic housings for the power supplies. So I think the first thing we're gonna do is just kind of like hold them up and trial fit them, maybe drill holes and put screws in, but those are gonna be super simple to mount. I probably shouldn't have said that. But beyond that, after that's done, we're waiting on shielded wiring to come in. I ordered it, it'll be here next week. So we're at that point, we're not gonna touch the power supplies after today. And we'll probably start on the empennage if I had to guess. But the last like 3 times I've said we're gonna work on the empennage, that has not been true. So we'll see what Bill wants to do.
And then here we are. And here's Bill.
Greetings.
I'm utilizing the fast media internet here to upload all the videos we've been making to the online archive. I keep everything on a solid state, like every video that we've made, the final product, so that I can access it locally during editing, but then I also keep it on Google Drive so that I can send a link to people or access it from wherever. So I'm uploading a bunch more videos. These are actually gonna go on Cockpit Club later. These are all the VR 360 videos, but archiving them first, I gotta export like 7 more and then get all of them uploaded and use the fast internet while we're working on the plane. So these came from the aviation department on Amazon. And
Amazon has everything, man.
they do have everything. And there's actually, I think this is what we're gonna do in the cabin too, but I found some that are actually smaller and a little bit more slim that follow the contour of this guy. All right, moment of truth. Is this gonna fit all the way? Oh, thank God, okay. Just barely. It's gonna have room for the connectors in there.
And that'll be our power wires running
Yep, 12,
inboard.
12 volts.
Okay,
coming in there.
so, okay, and that'll be coming out.
Yep, that'll be coming out basically. So this could just, you know, mount like that back there. If we're imagining this is the inside of the skin.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure what we're going to do about fasteners unless we just, I mean.
Oh, I think just a couple of panhead Phillips screws with a couple
Right,
nylock nuts on the back. We could also, well, it would make it stand off a little bit, and I don't know if it would let it shatter, but we could put tiny riv nuts in there.
That's what I was thinking, the same size that we did up there. Let's try. Let me go grab something and we'll just play. I'm not going to shoot it permanently.
Okay, yeah.
But we'll just try it like that and then we'll figure out. You want to just cut this whole piece out or you just want to do a little slot?
Yeah, this is $5. So.
Made in China.
It is. We're
That's one thing. Amazon, everything's made in China.
That is true. Hopefully not for long though. This is a cheap little 12-volt tent, 12-volt socket tent off Amazon. It's just a little housing made of ABS plastic so it can handle the temp range we need to and all that kind of stuff. And then here is a USB-C power supply, 45 watts a piece, and it is not technically USB-C power delivery. It says QC 4.0 right there, and that means Qualcomm 4.0 protocol. So it's compatible with any devices that are able to communicate with this type of USB-C interface, which is pretty much everything. And we're moving more and more into that realm of technology. So this is gonna get mounted inside the wing. This guy just goes right in there and looks super clean. We're gonna integrate this type of setup in the rest of the plane too, elsewhere. Gonna go a little bit smaller on the housing. I found some better ones, but these are cheaper. They're made of the same material. They're just fine for inside the wings. So technology has been changing super, super fast, and it's increasing at an exponential rate. I believe that's Moore's law. I came up with this concept for the camera power solution on the airplane because this is adaptable over time. This is a standard socket size. These are really standard parts. USB-C is the cutting edge of power delivery. I want to be able to easily replace that. Minimally invasive replacement on this airplane, which is going to be just take 2 screws out and get a different housing if we need to make it a little adapter plate to make it work, whatever. But this type of stuff with this barrel type mounting solution, you can find this stuff for boats, for cars, for RVs, and that's exactly what this stuff is. These are from a company called PowerWorks. I think I spent over $200 for 5 of these things. They're about $40 a piece. So they're way more expensive than what you're gonna find on Amazon, and I did that because I want quality parts that are gonna have very low RF interference. We're also using shielded aircraft grade wire. It's all mil-spec stuff, so we're using aerospace standards here. I wanted to make sure that I got the highest quality power delivery solution that we could. So these are about 40 bucks a pop, but I think it's gonna be totally worth it for the cameras to just run reliably. So Bill's working on right now some maybe a riv nut solution to get these mounted up.
Okay, we're gonna give it a shot. Now I don't know, you see how much meat we have here on the edge.
Yeah.
So if I squeeze that rib nut, it could crack this. Are you good?
I'm good with it.
At least trying it and see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna take.
You owe me a brew at the pub.
Okay.
If you take it.
Project Barley, here we go.
That's right.
Let's see if we can get this. Chelsea, could you hold that for me?
Yep.
So I don't get it separate. Please don't crack it. Oh, it's starting to bow out.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's gonna break.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. We're splitting it already.
So I just remembered I already have one built.
Oh, really?
Because I have a rooftop. We have a rooftop tent on my SUV back at home, and I was putting USB ports in it. I already freaking made one of these.
Oh, sweet, man.
In CAD. So let me. Yeah. So basically, this guy
Fit through there.
goes right through the hole, and then
And that's the same thing you got on your SUV.
yeah. So this barrel diameter is a very standard size. All right. The verdict on this is we're gonna wait until Monday to actually 3D print this. I already designed this for another project back at home. Basically, we have a rooftop tent on top of the SUV, and I wanted to put USB ports inside for charging phones and all that kind of stuff. And I already have an STL file built that has 3mm holes for M3 screws. We could even use rivets right there too. So I might tweak the design a little bit over the weekend and play with it. But this is the standard hole that USB port would go in. So that's already built. And the 3D print guy here, Jonathan, he actually already went home for the day, but he can print this for us. So we'll probably just have him print 3 of these. I'll make sure we have the correct hole sizes, and we have room to get either a wrench or something on the back. We might even rivet it, and then that'll be good to go. And it'll be made out of PETG infused with carbon fiber, so it's going to be super strong. Way better than the ABS plastic, which would have been just fine. I just don't like how close these fasteners are to the edge, and that one already cracked right there. So this was a $5 sacrificial part, and we learned some things. And this design that I already made in CAD is what we're gonna go with.
All right. Let's build something today. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get fasteners in your front spar and get this built up. And it's just basically popping rivets as usual.
All right, and this is the big counterweight.
Yeah, your weights go on the front here, and your control rod coming out the tail will hook onto that. And once we get those done, we can start putting this thing together. To here, everything in here is just going to be a 3.2 dome head on both sides, identical. Heads come this way.
And do I need to go through? I feel like some deeper action.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to. There's
Do
so
the whole-
much buildup in here. You see, look at all the layers just for this. There's 3 there. You have this little stiffener and these in the middle. Those take bolts, which I already put in for you. And we don't tighten the bolts. We just kind of finger tighten them because you'll see why. So yeah, let me get you a bit. Let me see what you got.
I just ringed out all the rim ones. This one too?
Yep.
Okay.
Do I have to worry about?
No.
I mean, I'm not going to go to the other side.
You're just going through. That's all dead
okay.
space there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. If you smack something on the other end, it's you're fired. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like we're back to like actual work. Josh is gonna put another one together this weekend.
That's excellent.
You guys are pumping them out, man.
I was, it says you have too much caffeine in you. Feeling your hair grow?
Yeah.
So when they're designating right and left hand ribs, even though we're going to be clicking up from this side, direction of flight says this way, so right and left.
Yeah,
not right and left.
Co-pilot side.
Yeah, because your counterbalance horn's facing forward. That's direction of flight, so right and left if you're facing forward from the aircraft. So if we're doing it from here, left side will be over here, right side will be here when we're going up the ribs. Rib number 1 right hand. Yeah, see what I'm doing here? We're installing these two and shooting. We're gonna shoot these up. We shoot those up.
Okay.
And then we're gonna install these 2 plates. You'll see as we get it. The plates are sitting. You kind of see them.
I saw you burning them.
Yeah. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna shoot the first 6 where the seam is right here.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on top and bottom, because if we mistakenly put that up there, we'll have no access to shoot those up.
Okay.
And you'll see we're gonna stack some stuff. There's some junk we can stack up there. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is shove these plates in there.
Right?
Yeah, let me get a pick so we can get these holes lined up. Okay, you got those straps? Yeah. So that goes right. That goes in between these 2 pieces right here. So, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Slide that bad boy in there like so. Okay, so this is the side. This is the top side of the elevator. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go eat some lunch, and I'll be back in a half hour.
So we want just these 6.
Just these 6 for now. That way, it's gonna accommodate when we go to install that.
On both sides.
On both sides, yes. And leave these open because everything else is gonna match up to the skin when we go to throw a skin panel on there.
Cool. I'll have those done.
All right, take your time.
These are big rivets. Ones are this bin too. They are putting the wings back into the hangar and we're calling it a day. This is Friday, April 18th, the end of week 2 of working on the Sling TSi here at the Build Assist Center in Torrance, California, right across the taxiway from Sling Pilot Academy. This week was a lot of non-visual progress. We sort of figured out some engineering stuff in our head for the camera mounts. That ate up 2 days. Today we ended with analyzing some of the power supply mounting solutions that we were looking at. Got some stuff from Amazon, but it turned out that it's not exactly an ideal situation to run fasteners through to squeeze it to a wing. So what we're actually gonna do, there's a guy here, his name's Jonathan. He's the wizard with the 3D printer and CAD. I use a different CAD program, but we output the same file from CAD when we finish a 3D design. So I actually have designs for these little 12-volt accessories, whatever it may be. They're all the standard size. The barrel is the same diameter. I already had one designed in CAD for our rooftop tent that I have on my Xterra back home. So I think I'm gonna use that same design. I might rework it, change a couple things, put a little bit more meat around the boundaries of it, and make the holes slightly bigger to accommodate an M4 screw. So I think that's what I'm gonna work on this weekend. That'll probably take me 20-30 minutes to whip that up in CAD. And then on Monday when we return, I'm gonna give the STL file to Jonathan, make sure everything's good there, and just have him print like 4 of them. So that if we break one, we have another one, and we can at least get this project going and get these things mounted in the wings. So then we started tackling the elevator assembly, which the skins of the elevators are all right here. Here are the composite end caps for the elevators, trim tab accessories. Here are all the counterweights for the elevator. All of that stuff is laid out right here, and the structure of the elevator is laying on the bench over there. Bill has it clamped down so that it's kind of flimsy, but he has it secured such that it's not going to move around too much. Nobody's really going to be working in here over the weekend, so everything should be safe right where it is, and then we're gonna come back on Monday morning and tackle it again.
When your shop or you implement 10 minutes minimally at the end of every single workday to tidy up, clean up, recalibrate, recalculate, and put everything back where it belongs, where it lives, unless it's just out for a very specific reason. I think that it helps every single day run better, more smoothly. There's just like a peace and a calmness that comes with an organized shop. And I think it makes everything, of course, more efficient, but also safer. I love the experimental side of aviation because you can just do your research, talk to your colleagues, reach out to the people in the industry that you really love and respect, and get so many different combinations of conversations evolving and rolling, and start plugging those in. And then that build becomes a collection of all of those techniques and practices that you saw as being the best for you and for your application and for your airplane. I feel like when you approach an aircraft and all you're seeing is that exterior skin, it seems really daunting and intimidating to mentally start to dissect everything that's going on. But when you break every one of those components down into its individual raw material form, it's not nearly as complicated as it seems. Seeing it all apart and then come together is one of the most rewarding things I have ever experienced in aviation.
Week of walking backwards. We got some things done. We hit some road bumps, did a little walking backwards, but nobody ever mentioned shaving their head and taking hostages, so that's good. Anyway, I'm tired too. These guys are tired. So don't leave town, we'll see you Monday. For me personally, anytime I do something and I have to walk backwards because it's not done right or something's not fitting right, that becomes a pain in the ass for me. I like to just keep trucking and just keep going. It happens though, but these guys are doing really well. We'll see what next week brings.
That's right. Don't forget about that referral code Aviation101 if you use that on your enrollment form or your scholarship application to get $1,000 off your pilot training course right here at Sling Pilot Academy. They actually still have quite a few slots open for their May course if you're ready to jump right into it. They also have a ton of slots open and they're taking enrollment now for their August start date. So definitely use that referral code and get that discount on your pilot training course.
Come hang out with us at Sling.
And we'll see you here, especially if you're in the May course. If you take the May start date, we'll see you here. We're literally like, it's that hangar right there. We're working across the taxiway. So we're calling it a week. We're done, we're tired. I'm gonna go spend the weekend editing this video to try and pump this out in the next couple of days and keep you up to date on our Sling TSi build right here in Torrance, California. Be sure to give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on week 3 of our Sling TSi build once it's filmed and posted. Until next time, you know the drill. I want you to stay happy and healthy, stay current in your flying, and most importantly, stay proficient. We'll see you in the next build video right here at the Airplane Factory in Torrance, California. Fly safe.